What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dark Sage's Interlude. I'm your host, Chase the Dark Sage, and this show is brought to you by Beyond Beats and Culture, the best hip-hop show and platform on YouTube itself. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and like if you haven't already. And this show is basically about me talking about my niches, me talking about the things I really love, and kind of relating it to my personal life itself. And today's video, you already saw the thumbnail, you already saw the title itself. We're going to be talking about Some Sexy Songs for You by Drake and PARTYNEXTDOOR. This is their, I guess, long-awaited collab album, collaborative project itself. Both artists are under OVO Sound because PARTYNEXTDOOR is one of Drake's artists itself, and they're both from Toronto, or at least Canada specifically, because I believe PARTYNEXTDOOR is like from Toronto. Now, I already know I'm in a different background than what I usually am. It was Valentine's Day last night. This album came out. I listened to it about 3 times. The lady is sick. The missus is sick herself. So I didn't want to disturb her while she was sleeping. I wanted to come in the car and actually talk about this because, one, this album sounds so good in the car. And this video right here is more so about my first impressions and stuff. I wanted to get this video out before we actually do a full-on review of it on the channel itself. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so that way you can see the review go up when we actually do our newest episode of Beyond Beats and Culture, which it should come out around like Wednesday, I believe. But going into this album, I will admit I am a huge Drake fan. I'm a huge PARTYNEXTDOOR fan. And generally speaking, I know a lot of people were like really hyped to see that these two actually put a collab album out together. Me personally, I wasn't so hyped for it because I don't think that they're that great of a duo together. Now, when it's Drake featuring PARTYNEXTDOOR, I'm but when it's PARTYNEXTDOOR featuring Drake, I'm like, ooh, okay. Because I like it when Drake goes into Party's world more so than when Party has to go into Drake's world, because then he kind of has to cut corners in certain areas. And you kind of see that with this actual project right here. So when we bring up this project right here, first of all, this project is 21 songs long. To me, that's already too much. I already knew, like, going into this was going to be longer than it needed to be, and trust me, it kind of is. But it's an hour and 13 minutes. Like I said, this album is longer than what it actually needs to be. If this would have been like 50 to an hour, I think I would have been cool, especially with some of the songs that didn't need to actually be on this project itself. So going through the actual track list right here, I gotta say that PARTYNEXTDOOR and Drake's performance, they were what I expected on this project right here. I didn't expect anything too different from what I thought I was going to get. In fact, I thought this project was pretty good for what it was supposed to be. Now, I saw that on Apple Music, it's supposed to be like an R&B/soul album. I kind of think it's more like hip-hop adjacent, me personally. But going through the track list, I think like the first song, like from CN Tower all the way up to Lasers, phenomenal album, great project. But once it hits to Meet Your Padre, Nokia, Die Trying, these songs kind of like threw off the cohesion of the actual album itself. It threw off the sound that I really dug from this album that it was going for at the beginning, from songs like CN Tower, Mothballs, Something About You, Crying in Chanel. Even though that was a Drake solo track itself, that song is hard. We got Spider-Man, Superman. That was a song where I'm like, the hook is kind of corny, but I like the song overall. I just thought that she takes on Spider-Man, I'm gonna save her like Superman. Like, I thought that was kind of corny. Deeper, one of PARTYNEXTDOOR's best tracks I've heard in a long few years. Even though I really enjoyed P4, this was a really good standout track for PARTYNEXTDOOR. And this is the track that really made me think, because I know a lot of people on social media at the time of me recording this, they was like, okay, PARTYNEXTDOOR kind of like threw off the album a bit. And in my head, I'm like, but Drake is going more into PARTYNEXTDOOR's world into this album right here in terms of sounds and sonics and melodies, kind of. But PARTYNEXTDOOR to me wasn't utilized well, and that's the problem when it comes to some Drake projects when they're collaborative. Drake makes it to where it's Drake featuring the person he's collabing with. Like in Her Loss, it was more so a Drake featuring 21 Savage. And with Drake, and I know you could kind of say like Future was a standout on What a Time to Be Alive. I do agree with that, especially since Future shined a lot more on What a Time to Be Alive. When it comes to a collaborative project, Drake usually has like, you know, a good amount of solo tracks on his own. He did that with Her Loss. He's doing that with this song right here. And that's why this album to me felt at times, and most of the time, honestly, Drake featuring PARTYNEXTDOOR, because it's like he used PARTYNEXTDOOR for his sonics, for the aesthetics, and more so as a feature to help set the mood. But PARTYNEXTDOOR wasn't utilized like I would have loved to actually been utilized. Like I said, P4 was a really good project. P3, Party Mobile, good. P1 and P2, phenomenal projects. But then we get to Small Town Fame. This is the first, like, oh, this is the second Drake solo song. Then we get Pimmy's Dilemma, which I don't know, this could be me. I would have rather had like 4 bats on there maybe. But either way, Pim, this artist that I've never heard of until this song right here, he did a good job overall. But I think that I would have like really loved to have heard 4 bats on this instead. Then we got Brian Still, another Drake solo track, which I think Drake's solo tracks on here, the performances, his rap performance was really good. Like, it was really strong. I just hate the fact of he had to include some stuff about the beef in here because people are going to want to hear you talk about the beef, right? And for me, I'm just like, I'm kind of over the beef. And especially for an album like this, Some Sexy Songs for You, talking about the beef is not sexy. I guess that's just me. I don't know. You guys can let me know. But the Drake rapping tracks like Brian Steele and Give Me a Hug, really good tracks. Really good tracks, but I don't think that I would have loved them on here. And this album to me, it's like we had Party Next Door songs that didn't make Party's album, and we had songs that were from Dark Lane demo tapes from Drake that didn't make that project or that demo reel, I guess, that project, and they kind of like brought them over here, even though obviously there's more updated actual subject matter and things like that. But we get to Raining in Houston. Oh my gosh. Drake, you're setting the mood for me right now. Then we get Lasers. And this is, like I said, where the run ends, where I'm just like, ooh, this is a really, really solid body of work. Party Next Door was doing his thing on this bad boy. And that let me know at the beginning that Party, like I said, wasn't utilized as much as he should have been at the beginning of this project itself. And I was like, dang. And I love Party Next Door, man. I love the mood that Party Next Door brings. Obviously, these two are not vocalists. They're not great vocally. They cannot sing like that. But I do like the mood and the vibes that they actually bring. Then we get Meet Your Padre, which is like the first like miss to me. I get it. This is for like the crossover appeal. This is for the radio appeal. This is for that worldwide appeal. I didn't like it like that, right? Then we get Nokia. This is, like I said, this is the part of the album where I'm just like, sonically, this doesn't fit with the beginning part of the actual album that we was going for, but it's still a good song. I really like Nokia. I really like Drake's song on here. I mean, performance. I like Die Trying, but it didn't fit. To me, this felt like a More Life cut. Then we get Somebody's Loves Me, and this is when we get back into the bag of Some Sexy Songs for You. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, ooh, okay. Then we get Celibacy. I'm like, all right. Then we get OMW, even though on Spotify on my phone it says OMY, but I know on Spotify on my PC it says OMW. OMW to me is like one of the standout tracks from this. In fact, this last little like third of the actual album itself, where it gets back to the cohesive sound that the album actually started off with, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all here for this, baby. This is the vibes I've been asking for, baby. You literally could cut out Meet Your Padre to Die Trying in terms of like cutting them out for the album. Like I like some of them songs, like I like Nokia and Die Trying, but cut them out for the album. When it comes to like it being a cohesive body of work and it being shorter because some of these songs weren't needed, when we get from Lasers to Somebody Loves Me, oh my gosh, okay, let's keep going, baby. Then we get Celibacy. I love it. Then we get On My Way. Oh, one of my favorite tracks. Then we get Glorious. Really love it. This is when Drake is doing that little the little drill sound, the New York drill sound, and he has a little Ice Spice, kind of like, you know, doing some talking in the background or doing some talking to like, you know, bridge the verses to a degree. And then we get When He's Gone. I really love that. I really, really love that. Oh my gosh. And then we got Greedy, which is a great closing track to me. But On My Way, Party Next Door, he was excelling on that track right there. But overall, first impressions, I thought the album was cool. I thought the album was good for what it is. I expected this to be exactly what this was. I knew that there was going to be some songs that they was going to include that really didn't fit the album, because look how long the actual album is itself. And I knew like we was going to get those type of songs, right? But it's expected. Like I gave this album like a 3.5 out of 5 off of 3 listens so far. I enjoyed the project for what it is. I got exactly what I thought it was going to give me, and I enjoyed it. Party Next Door and Drake aren't really doing anything new or different than what they've usually given us separately in their music. And while I do think that they work better separately as artists, because Drake doing a full R&B thing, he's done it in the past with like the second disc of Scorpion, but he's going more into that bag now. But some of these songs sometimes feel like they're more so throwaways, or they're not fully developed enough to where I'm just like, dang, like we could have got a very much stronger song right here if the songwriting was a bit better right here. Like I said, Party Next Door, I wish he was utilized a bit more, because Party Next Door, like I said, this album sounds like Drake is going into Party Next Door's world, but Party himself wasn't utilized enough in his own world. It felt like he was more so used as a tool or instrument by Drake rather than an actual feature and actually having or holding his own throughout this project right here. But in the last third, like after I said that part where it starts to get inconsistent a bit for me, I thought Party did a really good job. I loved Party's performance after the whole little Meet Your Padre Nokia break. I loved all that. But Drake honestly has some really vibey tracks on here that I loved as well. So overall, based off of what I got from this project right here, I'm not too mad at it. I know a lot of people are like in the middle. It's either people love it or they hate it. I got exactly what I wanted. I'm a fan of Drake. I'm a fan of Party Next Door. I got the music that I've really been wanting, and this is definitely great to set like the mood at nighttime, especially when you with your lady. I was listening to this with my lady at one point, and I was like, okay, it's setting the mood, baby. Yes, it's setting the vibe. But overall, I really enjoyed this project. I really have no complaints about it. Well, I do have complaints, but this is just my first impressions before we actually put out the review. I wanted to put this out because we did talk about GNX when that dropped. I didn't talk about this the night that it dropped because obviously I was spending that night with my lady, because this was some sexy songs for me, but you know, I had to spend that with my sexy lady in my life. You get what I'm saying? So I had to get sexy on my own. Pause on that because that sounds crazy while doing this first impressions right here. But let me know guys what you think about this down in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about this, our first impressions. Like I said, we're gonna do a full review where me and my co-host T actually talk about the album, actually go a little bit more in depth after we had a few more listens after this weekend to see how we really and truly feel about it. But I did want to put a first impressions out just to feed you guys, you know, give you guys a little bit of a taste of what I liked from this. And like I said, I wanted to develop more of an opinion off of more listens, that way I could kind of get more like from this project itself. But like I said, like and subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you like hip-hop content. You want more hip-hop content, daily hip-hop content in your feed. We're always putting out episode each week, and we're putting up daily clips of the episode. And we also have the shows Let's Have the Conversation by my co-host T and the Dark Sages Interlude, which you are watching right now. But yeah, let me know what you think about this project so far down in the comment section down below. This has been another episode of the Dark Sages Interlude. I'm Chase the Dark Sage. Peace.
See, when I ain't had no money, I still had sauce. See, if you don't got no sauce, then you lost.